Hey, everybody. What's good? I know. Y'all are probably thinking, like, man, what he doing with a shirt and tie on? I know. I impressed myself. I threw a tie on. I was like, man, Uncle Freezy, you look good. So the reason why I'm here is because I have an interview scheduled with NFL Hall of Famer Harry Carson. Been chatting with them, been communicating with them, sent them the link and everything. I'm just going to jump on and ask him a few questions. Um, ask him some general questions, man. Have him get to know the Giants fan base. I'm not a Giants fan, y'all know that, but I do hang out with a lot of Giants fans. So it's one of those deals where I kind of want to give the Giants fans a treat, right? I just want to give the Giants fans a treat. I expect them to be here in a few minutes. Of course, anytime you do interviews, online via the teleconferencing apps, you want to give people, hey, what's up, Andy? What's good with you? Hey, so you want to give people the customary amount of time in order to follow the link and everything and do their thing. So I'm gonna just chat it up with y'all until he gets it figured out, or until he hits me up. And then we'll get down to the nitty gritty. So I guess since we here, we'll talk about some things that have been going on until Mr. Carson shows up. So Chris Paul to the Suns, that's not unexpected. Oh, you just broke. Hey, what's up, Stephen Fox? What's good? What's good with you, Andy? You just broke the CP3 deal. Good, man. That's dope. That's dope. I was messing around trying to work on these interview questions, so I have a few of them here. I don't want to get like too cliche or whatever. I could have typed them out and all that stuff. But generally, when I speak to folks, man, I don't like being super formal, because I like for stuff to kind of be organic. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the conversation, I'd like to have the conversation flow in a kind of in a way where it just feels real. Like I'm not a newscaster, or like I don't do 60 Minutes or nothing like that. So when I talk to people, man, I want to be real, and at the same time, I want them to be real with me. So I'll ask some questions, but it'll be mostly like some real stuff. So the Suns still had the 10 pick, huh? Hey, you guessing no pants? You'd be wrong this time, Andy. You'd be wrong this time. You know what I'm saying? Other times, hey, I can't. I plead the fifth. But this time, I'm doing my grown up thing. You know what I mean? How's this lavender shirt look to y'all, man? The shirt I have a bajillion dress shirts, man. Because of former lives and occupations, and so I didn't know how this color would pop on the channel and such. And profiling, styling, and profiling, Stephen Fox. Yeah. So, man, I'm gonna give my man some time to come through with the thing. I got the email chain here. Hey, everybody, guess who joined?
Uncle Freezy.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Oh, my gosh. I can't believe it. Oh, my gosh. It is Harry Carson, everybody. Oh, my gosh.
Do I need some makeup on? Do I need some water?
No, you don't need nothing, man. You perfect. Right. You don't need nothing, man. How's the family doing?
Everybody's good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, I tweeted out to a few of the fellows that I hang around with that you be coming on.
Yeah.
And oh boy, you making these 40 and 50-year-old men sound like little boys. You know, they talking about, oh man, Harry Carson, I used to try to play like him when I was little. Hey, so to everybody I want to introduce you to everybody in the chat. First of all, everybody, please welcome NFL Hall of Famer, New York Giants legend, and more important to me and to others all around, good guy, Harry Carson. All around, good guy, Harry Carson. Yes, sir. Hey, the point I was making before you came on was that a lot of the guys, the Giants fans that I hang out with, man, you know, they hold the Giants players and the legends in such high esteem. Mm-hmm. You know, they flat out remember, they can recall plays against certain teams in certain years, just like it was like a family event to them.
Yeah.
And so to have you on just is like making their day.
Maybe that's a sign that you've got a pretty older group of fans that you're sort of dealing with.
Maybe.
They remember the 80s. They remember those days.
they were, but you know what? They appreciate those days. Like, it's not like one of those, because I tell this story a lot, and I don't know if people understand how hard it is to be an NFL player. But when I was young, I went on a field trip to the Meadowlands. You know, they were like, oh, you know, go to the Meadowlands and such and such. And so I'm saying this out. I went to school in Jersey City, mm-hmm. right? So we went on a field trip, and we stood on the Meadowlands turf, man. And a gust of wind came through there and like almost bowled us over. Like, we were like in 6th grade. That wind almost knocked over 200 kids just by gusting through. So I can imagine what it's like playing in that space and then landing on that tough carpet down after down.
Well, yeah, it does take its toll on your joints and muscles and all of that stuff. But, you know, quite frankly, I really enjoyed playing at the old Giant Stadium way back in the day, because they had if you walk into the stadium, there was a high crown like in the center of the field.
Right.
So like if the ball is in the middle of the field and let's say the quarterback does a toss play to the running back and he's running toward the sideline, he's running downhill.
Really?
Yeah, he's running because the crown, you know, it kind of went like this.
Right.
And the reason why they did that was so that when it rained, that the water would drain quickly. But it also it had the ability to speed up plays, because in essence you're running downhill. And when I was young, I was able to start in the middle, run downhill when that ball was tossed, and meet the ball carrier right at the edge.
Right.
When I knew it was time to go, it was when I started running downhill and I didn't quite get to the edge like I used to as a younger player.
Right.
So I knew I was slowing down, and it was time for me to go.
So it was time then. It was, and so I not only, so I'm a fan of I come from humble beginnings. Like, my family is from South Carolina. My family is, one side of the family is from the PD area, and the other side of the family is from the Columbia, Fairfield County area, right? And so it's a bunch of athletes that come from that area, those areas, a bunch of athletes, right? But the thing about what we do, like at family functions, like the guys will get around and be like, yeah, like my pops got a shot with the Cincinnati Reds, the Pittsburgh Pirates. The way he told the story to me is, he got a shot, and some guys from that area kind of had the talent to do things, but a lot of them were just farm boys, country boys. You know what I'm saying? They had to help out their family and do stuff like that. But let me ask you, when did you realize that you had, or let me first ask, are you from South Carolina originally?
I'm from Florence.
You from Florence originally?
Yeah.
Guess what? Guess where I'm at?
Where?
In Darlington.
You're in Darlington now?
Yes, sir. I am.
All right.
Yeah. I'm in Darlington right now. So yeah, and I know a lot of people from Florence, a lot of people. But how did you know? Like, when did it dawn on you that you had the talent to not only play at the next level, but go to the next level and be special? Like leave Florence and maybe go to South Carolina State. When did you realize you had the talent to do that?
So how much time do we have? How much time do we have?
Hey, just take your time, man. Just take your time, I guess.
Let me be honest with you, and I'm going to share something with you that a lot of people don't know. And this might be a little convoluted, and but just bear with me, because I enjoy when I have the opportunity to get the truth out.
Right.
I went to, I was in 7th grade. I went to a football game at Wilson High School. And so, you go Friday night, football, Florence,
Right.
South Carolina, under the lights, and everything.
Right.
And I'm standing by the fence as the players are walking off the field. And so, they got their uniforms on and pads and everything. And I'm like, floored, because I'm standing and these guys are walking off the field, and you could smell them, you smell the grass, you smell the sweat, you smell, the blood and all of this stuff,
Right.
And so, here I am, a young, impressionable kid, and I see all of this. And then I walk up to the field house where, they all were going to change and leave. And so when I walked up there, I saw all of these beautiful girls, up there, and they were waiting on the ball players. And I said to myself, man, that's what I want to do, man. That's what I want to do. I want to play football. and quite frankly, that was one of the primary reasons why I wanted to play football, because I wanted to be in the uniform. I wanted that uniform to fit, and I wanted that uniform to be a chick magnet.
Right.
And so I went through a growth spurt from the 7th grade to like the beginning of the 9th grade. Okay. And I went out for the team at Wilson.
Okay.
And when I went out for the team, I went and I picked up my uniform. I signed up, picked up my uniform and everything.
Right.
And I didn't do nothing. I didn't run. I didn't prepare myself in any way. I just thought, I got my uniform, and I thought that if this guy could go out there and practice, I'll do the same.
Right.
And we put on our uniforms first day of practice. It was brutally hot.
Right.
And so we ran out on the field and started doing drills. And then then the monkey jumped on my back. You're stretching, then you're running from drill to drill, agility drills and everything, doing monkey rolls and all of that stuff.
Right.
And we couldn't walk. We had to run, like from
everywhere. Yeah.
And man, that monkey jumped on my back.
Oh my goodness.
It was hot. And we did our first contact drill where, offense was lining up against defense, and,
Right.
coach would call, different players to come out and,
Right.
get in their stance, and somebody
Right.
would snap the ball, and, you take off and hit one another.
Right.
Head to head and everything. And so here I was. I think the guy who I went up against was like a junior, maybe a senior.
Right.
And here I am. I'm a freshman.
Right.
And I wasn't accustomed to contact, I was
Right.
accustomed to playing with my boys, playing sandlot ball. But
Right.
here I had on uniform, I had on shoulder pads, I had a helmet on and everything.
Right.
Ball snap. We lit into one another, and
Right.
man, this guy almost killed me. He almost And so when the whistle blew, I went back to the back of the line,
Right.
and nobody, everybody was kind of waiting to, for their turn. And
Right.
here I was thinking, oh, I don't think I should be here.
Were you thinking where the girls at?
I was even thinking about that at the time. I was thinking about the monkey being on my back,
Right.
And also in that one play where we hit one another, I saw stars.
Right.
And I saw little twinkling things, right in front of my eyes,
Right.
And in retrospect, I realized that was my first concussion.
Probably that, yeah.
It was my first concussion.
Right.
And so I just, I just turned around and I started walking off the field. And the coach, William Long, everybody used to call him Scooby, said, "Carson, where you going?" I didn't say nothing. I just kept walking.
Right.
And I walked up to the field house. I turned in my uniform, and I just put my clothes on and I left because I knew it was not for me.
Right.
And the thing that I had to come to grips with was by me walking off the field, all of those guys who I was going to class with,
right,
I had to deal with them.
right,
And they knew I walked off the field. They knew I quit.
right,
And it was hard to live down.
right.
And so I have to say, when I walked off the field, I was walking across town from North Florence over to East Florence. And E.J. McIver and Robert Sanders, who were coaches for the boys club football team,
Right.
they saw me walking by the field. This is over by the train tracks, where that bridge is over by McLeod Hospital.
Right, I know you're right.
Yeah, it used to be a football field there.
Okay.
And so when I was walking by, EJ called me and said, "Hey, man." And I turned, he said, "Man, you should be playing football." Not realizing that I had just quit at Wilson. Right. And he said, "Come back tomorrow and, we'll give you a uniform." And I was like, okay.
Right.
So I went home, came back the next day, got a uniform. And in essence, I was able to ease my way into playing the game.
Okay.
And I played a few weeks of boys club football.
Right.
And that was that. I just sort of eased my way back into it. But I had to come to a reckoning with myself. And I didn't like the way quitting felt in my gut.
Right.
And I made up in my mind that I was going to go back, not necessarily to play, but just to see if I could make it, on my own terms. And The next year, I did the same thing, went and picked up the uniform, but I worked out, I ran,
Right.
did, jump rope and all that stuff. But I started to prepare myself.
Right.
And I went back on the field, and the coach was laughing at me. He said, "Hey, son, you gonna make me run you away again?"
You back to ball?
He took great pride in running
Right.
you off, because he
Right.
realized that if you quit in practice, you're going to quit on the field.
Yep.
He did not, and he wanted to get guys who were committed to playing, as opposed to having guys who are going to quit on him, on the field. And I made a pact with myself, and I said, I'm going to stick and stay. If the guy next to me is going to be there, I'm going to be there. I'm going to force myself to stick and stay.
Right.
And that's what I did. And I made the team in my sophomore year in high school.
Right.
And I played. I just running around. You get yourself in shape, but it wasn't necessarily about the girls at that point. It was about just proving to myself that I could make it. Now, in retrospect, it gives me the opportunity to look at so many things that I didn't even take into account way back then. But let me just tell you, I was okay as a football player,
right?
Because I was just sort of learning my way into playing the game. I played with my guys and sandlot ball, but I didn't play like organized football or anything like that.
Right.
There were so many guys in retrospect who were really, really, really good.
Right.
Who had the speed, the talent, the size.
Right.
I don't know, for whatever reason, they didn't make it.
Right.
And many of those guys, I'm certain, if they had made the right decisions in regards to schoolwork, how they live their life, because some guys, they got involved with alcohol, they got involved with not getting their work done. They got involved with, becoming a father.
Right.
But there are so many things that were there that prohibited them from going from that level to the next level.
Right.
And I think to myself, I wasn't even that good. Those other guys were really, really good, and if they had hung in there, if they had done the right thing, perhaps they would have gotten a scholarship.
Right.
Perhaps they could have, gone on to college and, got scouted by the pros and had the opportunity. And so when I look at myself, I'm like, damn, how is it that I was able to go from that guy who really wasn't that good to being, learning the positions that I was playing, and just being,
I will. Hey, I won't lie to you. I won't lie to you. When I saw you, I saw you a few times when you were still active. You know what I'm saying? I went to a game. It was probably, I had never been so cold in my life. I went to a game. It's one thing being cold, waiting by the bus to go to the game, but it's another thing being in the stands at Giant Stadium. But anyway, so I saw, man, I saw you then, and then I hear you tell this story now, and I honestly can't put the two and two together. Like as a man, I understand where you're coming from about having the opportunity and the stick-to-itiveness and wanting to prove something to yourself and others. But when I saw you, man, I was a kid, maybe, 9, 10 years old, and you used to hit guys. And I'm like, this dude it's kind of scary to see, men move that, because as a kid you play football in the street or whatever, and you do all your little cute moves. You try to mimic Walter Payton or Tony Dorsett or Earl Campbell or somebody, and then you go out there and see like 22 guys flying around. Like it's amazing. Then when you see the best of the best do it, you really can't comprehend what you're watching. Like I legit the one game I went to, and it's just, I'm a Bears fan, by the way. I don't know if I told you this. I probably told you this 1,000 times, but I went to a game with, I think, you guys in the Eagles, and y'all were like hitting these guys, and you can look at them. They had quit on their face. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's cold. They were getting smacked around. I think they were like down by 10. You could see like they were actually getting beat into submission, right, by these guys that were big and fast and strong. And I see, and you know what? I told my wife, I was like, I told my wife, I was like, I ain't gonna tell him that thing about me going to that game because he gonna laugh. It showed up.
No, you know what? when I never really had that experience in high school. But in college, I had the experience of being on a field and playing with guys who were really, really good. I mean, South Carolina State, one thing they did, they thoroughly prepared me for the next level of playing the game. And quite frankly, I played on in some games at South Carolina State where we played when the game was over. I was still fresh, and I'm like, okay, let's go for a doubleheader, because I mean we were in such great shape, and the interesting thing is, having gone to South Carolina State, we didn't have like all of the weight equipment and the best facility and all of this stuff. We did a lot of running. We did a lot of running the steps of the stadium. On Sunday, we do like a 12-minute run and all of that stuff. But it prepared me physically to play in the game. And in my junior year, we played probably some of the best defense that I'd ever played, in that we only gave up 29 points for the entire football season.
Are you serious?
29 points. It is still a record with the NCAA, 29 points. And quite frankly, there are teams that we play, and we played 10 games. There were teams that we played who, when they came and played us, they left. At the end of the game, they left with less yardage than what they came with. We got after people. I mean, there were teams that we played, and when the game was over, they left with minus 29 yards rushing.
Right.
And we only gave up 29 points for the entire football season. But the other thing that kind of when you talk about being physical with people was the 1986 Super Bowl team, where we lost the previous year to Chicago. I remember that.
I remember that.
And our hearts were hurt because we thought that we were a better team, but we made mistakes. We lost the game. Bears won. They went to Super Bowl. I think they played New England.
Right.
But that next year, we all showed up ready to play, and it was probably the best team that I've ever played on, because nobody really cared about who got the credit for anything. I mean, everybody was on the same page, and we all worked together, and it was probably the most unselfish team that I've ever played with. And we were strong, and we were fast, and we literally beat people into submission. I felt
I
bad
know, I know this.
for,
I know this.
for some of the
And the reason,
teams that we played against. I felt really bad because there was nothing that they could do to keep us from from being more physical. I mean,
right,
we were just really, really physical, and we just beat people like the second half of a game when we're up and we're
right,
still going after people,
right,
and guys didn't want to touch the ball, you know.
right, right.
But it was fun. It was fun,
Let me,
and
I want to ask you something
and
about, I want to ask you something about
the
that
thing
because
is,
it's,
the interesting thing is, I played on some teams with the Giants where we sucked, man, and
right,
people just beat up on us. But,
right,
but then it was our turn to beat up on them,
right,
and because I knew what it felt like to be dominated, during my early years with the Giants, I knew what it felt like to be dominated. That
right,
when we were in a position to dominate other teams, I always tried to be respectful of these other teams because what goes around comes around. And sometimes, you get cocky when you're good and you start
right.
talking and you start opening your mouth and saying crap that, yeah, that time is going to come back around.
Yeah,
And
yep,
those players, if they're still on that team, they're going to remember everything that you said.
yep.
So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
I wanted to ask you about that because growing up in Jersey City, the Giants wasn't always good. Like there was a portion of time where the Giants were terrible, right? And so I
I was
wanted to ask
there.
you
I was
how
there.
how did you feel? How did you feel when you knew you got drafted by the Giants? Like, did you feel like there was a certain team you wanted to go to, or was it just a privilege to play in the NFL, or did you have a specific team?
I didn't really have a specific team. When I came out, um, I I felt very fortunate to and keep in mind that when I was coming out, I was also graduating, and
Right,
so I was really excited about graduating with my diploma from South
right,
Carolina State.
right,
So when I got drafted to play with the Giants, um, I didn't know. I was a fourth round draft pick, and there was nothing really guaranteed at that time.
right,
And so I thought, okay, if I make it, fine. If I don't make it, no pressure. I got my degree. I'm
right,
certified to teach, you
right,
know, and so there was
right,
no pressure
right,
there. And so when I was drafted to play with the Giants, I remember going to rookie mini camp, and Marty Schottenheimer was my coach. He was my linebacker coach and defensive coordinator. And Marty pulled me aside and he said, "I would like for you to come back because I want to change you and put you in a different position." I said, "Well, what position?" Because I was a defensive lineman
right,
uh,
right, right,
all through high school. I played a little running back when I was in high school, running out of a wishbone. I was basically a lead blocker. They never really gave me the ball. But when I was at South Carolina State,
right,
um, they they asked me. I was a right defensive end, and
okay,
I was able to get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks coming off their blind side.
okay,
And my senior year, they asked me if I would play a little nose tackle. And I sort of balked at it at the time. I said, no, whatever is best for the team, then I'll do it. So when I went to the Giants and Marty pulled me aside, he said, I'd like to try you at a different position. and he explained that they needed a middle linebacker who could protect the inside run.
Okay.
And I said, okay. So I went back and I was with him for almost a month going through drills and everything. And everything that he tried to get me to do, I did it ass backwards. But I did it ass backwards, but I got the same or better results doing it my way.
Right.
And he was smart enough and astute enough to know that you don't mess with somebody. If they can get the job done
Right.
and they do it in their own way, and it's contrary to how I coach, if you're getting the same or better results, let them do it the way they want to do it. And Marty always allowed me to do my thing.
Wow.
And so I came back, and I went through my rookie year. I was a special teams player, and mid-season, he said, okay, it's time to go. And I started my first game against the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow.
In Bloomington, Minnesota. I think that's where it was. It was outside. It was cold. It was probably the morning of the game. I remember it was like 15 degrees. And Chuck Foreman was the running back. Fran Tarkenton was the quarterback. And they kept running draw plays right up the middle, right over me until I could stop them.
Right.
And, I was able to sort of earn my keep, playing in the National Football League. But I didn't even know if I was going to make it. And to be able to go from being a down middle linebacker or a down defensive end to a stand-up middle linebacker, and then, as that down lineman, I just knew what I was going to do. Maybe the guy next to me, maybe the outside linebacker, I just focused on that. When you are a middle linebacker and you got to know what everybody is doing.
Yes, sir.
And you become the captain, then you become the signal caller, and then you got to know what everybody on the field is doing.
Yes, sir.
It is a daunting task. And it's not just about being physical on the field. It's about being able to think about the things that you have to do to survive and play your position, but also know what everybody else is doing. Especially when you become the signal caller and you have to make changes when you see, a certain formation, and you got a blitz coming up, and then you got to check out of the blitz and go to something that everybody can play. It's physical, and I think so many people focus on the physical aspect of the game, but quite frankly, it is more mental than physical. And the reason why a lot of guys don't make it is because they can't think fast enough.
Really?
No, it's a mental game. And if you can't think, part of the reason why the New England Patriots are good, and keep in mind, Bill Belichick was my coach. When I first met Belichick, he was like the assistant special teams coach.
So he worked the too.
But when his teams take the field, they know what to do. If you take the field and you are wishy-washy, or as a play develops, and you got to think about what you have to do, if you got to think about it, then you're dead because of the speed of the game and everything. You got to know what to do, and his players know what to do. They don't think about it. They know what to do. And so Belichick, I learned a lot from Belichick. I learned a lot from Parcells. I learned a lot from Marty Schottenheimer. That's the one thing I can say. I had throughout my football career, I had some really good coaches who knew their stuff,
Right. 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 And so as we is so most of the people that we hang around with that come to the channel and so we talk sports a lot, and basically we have this sense that a lot of the times the guys that we talk about, our heroes and such, come from these grandiose places, these large academic high schools and things of that sort. By the time they get to the pros and stuff, they're prima donnas. So we think that the mental part of it is not as daunting to them as the physical part, because a lot of times we see them nowadays, we see them in these fast cars and these fancy clothes, and we think that they're soft. Just hearing you say that it's kind of vice versa kind of blows us away a little bit in the fact that that we would think that the mental part of the game is something that they would have down pat, and that physical part of it would just wear them down week after week, or even play after play, so to speak. But let me say this though. You mentioned something, and I gotta do this. So shout out to the Wilson Tigers in Florence, South Carolina. I played for a school in Darlington called Mayo High School.
Yeah, we played Mayo.
I know you did.
One of my old roommates from college, Elias O'Neill, he was a quarterback at Mayo back in our day.
Right.
Yeah, Mayo High School.
Yes, sir. The black and gold got a whole lot of soul. Yeah. And so when you were talking about that moment when you get your uniform and all the girls are looking, I was imagining me getting off the bus in Memorial Stadium, thinking about Wilson Week, because the Wilson game is Wilson Week, right? So as soon as we'll beat Timminsville, and as soon as we beat Timminsville, they were like, yeah, it's on the Wilson, and so for us, we didn't have a big, huge stadium. You know what I'm saying? We would get a nice crowd, like 1,000 people come out to the game or whatever. But getting in Memorial Stadium against the Wilson Tigers was something for us. So the weight room sessions were a little bit more grimy. You know what I'm saying? And the rivalry meant more because we played. And part of the reason why is because by the time we played Wilson had already beat us like 6 in a row. So some of the guys literally played high school their whole career and never beat Wilson. Yeah. So for the seniors, it means something. Like I gotta leave it all. And it's funny that you think about a 17-year-old kid is like, I gotta leave everything I hear on the field. This is my legacy. I can't go a whole high school career without beating Wilson. And you're 17 years old, thinking about your legacy. You know what I mean? And so when you mentioned that just now, a few minutes ago, it had my heart racing because I'm like, man, so Wilson Tigers are actually kind of going through the same thing that we were going through from the other side. You know what I mean? So shout out to my Wilson Tigers that's watching. It's a whole bunch of them. They remind me every year when Darlington High plays Wilson that we hadn't beaten them in a while. So shout out to them for that. But I wanted to ask you this: are you really the creator of the Gatorade bath? Like, are you the person that came up with the dumping the Gatorade on Parcells or whatever coach at the end of the Super Bowl? Is that your creation?
Well, yes and no. The original idea of dousing the coach with Gatorade was not my idea. Okay. It actually started in 1985, and it was my old teammate Jim Burt. And
I remember that day. Oh, wow. Okay.
Burt was my nose tackle.
Right. 64. I remember him.
Yeah. And Jim, during the week that we were playing against Washington, Parcells would find little ways of just needling guys, just getting under the skin, Right. And he said, when he went to gym, he said that Jeff Bostic, is the center for Washington. Say,
Wow.
you know that Jeff Bostic, if you're not ready, Jeff Bostic is going to have your ass, man.
Right. Right.
And Jim, being as prideful as he is and was at that time,
Right.
every day Parcells would say something about Jeff Bostic whipping his ass, and then he'd call attention to other players in the locker room. He said, "Hey guys, you better get Bert to work out because Jeff Bostic is going to have his ass, and that was challenging him. So I mean, he knew exactly what buttons to push.
Right.
So he went into the game, and as the game was, coming along, Bert would say, "How am I doing? How am I doing? Am I keeping the guys off you?" Because he was my personal protector as the nose tackle. Right. He had to protect me, so I could make the play. I said, "Jim, everything is good. Everything's good." So as we're leading, time was winding down on the clock, and he said, "Harry, that Parcells is such a prick," and he said, "We should get him with something." I said, "What do you mean? We?" He didn't say anything to me.
Right.
But Bert was smart enough to know that if I did something to Parcells, because I was a captain at the time, right. I had a very good relationship with Parcells, but he said, "I know that if I do something to Parcells, he's going to have my ass. Right. But if I do it with you, he ain't going to say nothing."
Right, we'll be good, right?
And so I said, "Well, Jim, what do you want to do?" He said, "Let's get him with the Gatorade." And so it was his idea to get him with the Gatorade. And I said, "Okay, wait until he takes off his headphones because we don't want to electrocute him."
Right.
As he took off the headphones, the game was over, and he's about to walk out to the field to shake Joe Gibbs' hand. We doused him with the Gatorade. Now, when we got him with the Gatorade, that was it. We were happy to have won the game. He wasn't expecting anything. But then the next year, the 86 Super Bowl year, we had lost a game to the Dallas Cowboys. And then the next game, we were playing San Diego.
Okay.
San Diego had just beaten Miami, like 44-7 or something, 44-10 or something like that.
Right.
And nobody thought that we could beat San Diego.
Right.
So we go through the game time is winding down. We're jubilant about, winning the game. And then I got him with the Gatorade.
Right.
When I got him with the Gatorade, I forgot that Bill's one of these people, he's very superstitious. If you do something one week and if it works, you got to keep doing it.
Right.
So by dousing him with the Gatorade and, we won, the next week I had to do it again because we won then. Then the following week we won, I had to get him again. And so it became a symbol of 1986 football season.
Right.
All because he's very superstitious. If something works one week, you got to keep doing it.
Right.
And so we went through the entire football season, then we went through the playoffs, and then we get into the Super Bowl. And then you got John Madden up in the booth, and he is diagramming, where the bucket is going to come from.
I remember that.
And what I'd done it so much during the course of the season that I knew he was going to be expecting it. So what I did was, as the game was winding down, I asked one of the security guards, "Can I use your jacket?" He said,
I remember that.
Disguised myself.
Right.
And I got him with the Gatorade twice. Now, if you go back and you look at the video or you look at the film, the first time I got him, I don't even think anyone really noticed it.
Okay.
because it was like orange or something like that. If you go back and you look and you ever see me dousing Parcells on the field at the end of the Super Bowl, you'll see he's already wet. So I
I
got
didn't
him,
notice that. I didn't notice that.
I got him with the Gatorade, and it was like orange or
Right.
pink or something like that.
Right.
But I had to wash that off of him by getting him with water. And so I got him with, I had to rinse him off,
Right.
and it became a symbol of the '86 season. I don't think I ever did it after that, but the folks at Gatorade thought, that's probably the best free publicity
Right.
that we could have gotten.
Right. Right.
So they sent me like a bowling bag, a bowling ball bag. They sent me a golf bag. They sent me a check.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so all these years, I've had this ongoing relationship with Gatorade.
Really?
I've had an ongoing relationship with Gatorade.
Wow. Wow.
So like when I go to a Super Bowl, Gatorade has like a suite or something like at one of the hotels where some of their high profile athletes come and can have meals and entertainment and all of that stuff. And so I'm always on that list to go and visit with Gatorade. They have not just football players, but they have baseball players, basketball players, sprinters, Olympians. And so it's interesting that after all these years, we still maintain a relationship. But the other thing is, if a couple of years ago, they had a commercial where they were like counting down like 25 moments or 40 moments or something like that. When they use my likeness, even if it's for a fraction of a second,
right,
I get a check.
Hey.
And so, but it's like this. When I was doing this, I didn't know that I was going to have this ongoing relationship with Gatorade. And in order for them to use my likeness, they have to get my permission. So they just go ahead and send me a check.
Right.
And, all is good. I'm not going to complain.
Right. Hey, thanks, Jim Burt. Thanks,
but,
Jim
both, and I've always given Jim the credit.
Right.
I've always given Jim the credit for being the originator. Now, there's some guys with Chicago, like Dan Hampton and Richard Dent, they might beg to differ.
Right.
But Jim, to me, is the originator, and I'm the guy who perpetuated it.
Right. So I remember that.
Nobody saw the first time when Jim Burt wanted to do it, but everybody saw it during the '86 season when I was getting Parcells with the Gatorade. And so, I have no arguments with anyone that, it's something that's fun, still a little childish, but isn't that what sports is? It's about having fun and being childish, and oftentimes
celebrating accomplishment too. By the way, because I used to see Warner Wolf used to show it because that's back then when we used to be starving for sports clips. We didn't often have sports, but Warner Wolf would come on for his little 5-minute segment on CBS,
Yeah.
and we see Harry Carson with this trench coat on, hiding with the kids, sneaking around, and then dumping Parcells, and Parcells acting like he was totally surprised. I mean, so things like that, it makes us, like, it endeared us more towards athletes, because, like, on the one hand, when I mentioned to you when I was in the stands, watching y'all smack up the Eagles and watching them, basically want to quit but can't. So we watch the Warriors on one side, right? And then we get to watch regular people do things that were fun on the other end. Like y'all would literally beat teams half to death, and then at the end of the game celebrate by doing something that everybody can identify with. Like, so it's one of those things that I felt like, endeared, especially that Giants team, to the New York fan base. Now, there's a 1990 team. I think were you on a 1990 team?
No, I'm much too old for that.
So the 1990 team were endeared to the fans because we had Desert Storm going on.
Right.
Cats like myself were leaving for the military, and what I'm saying, it was like, so we had all these emotions going on. The Supreme Patriots, and Veterans Day just passed, and I should say this. Hey, I want to thank all the veterans for all the things, to your many contributions to this country, sacrificing y'all lives, y'all livelihood, and y'all families to go make sure that we can enjoy our freedoms and liberties and such. I just wanted to do that. I'm a veteran myself, but I always feel like it's necessary to share that message with other veterans, because you don't often hear that. But speaking of the two Giants teams, the 90 team was more of a team that had all these things going on, and they probably shouldn't have won as many games as they won, but the heart that they showed throughout the season, like Stephen Baker shaking off 5 guys to stretch for a first down, to continue, and Otis Anderson getting up out of cotton balls. He probably should have been retired, but he's playing anyway and doing his thing.
Otis is my man. Otis was my man. The interesting thing, when you say Otis Anderson, Otis, I remember playing against Otis like when he was a rookie.
Right.
He would run for his life.
Right.
He saw us on film, and Otis and I are like really, 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 really good friends.
Right.
The thing that Otis would tell you is, I read him, like when we played when he was playing with St. Louis Cardinals, and he'd be in the I formation, and I knew exactly where he was going to go. I knew when he got the ball, I knew exactly where he was going to go, and I would tell everybody, he's coming this way. He's coming this way. So we had to blow up and get ready to take on the blockers, but also, to tackle him. But it got to a point where he had to improvise, because we had it. I could read him, and he would have some really good games against us because he was running for his life. He didn't run where he was supposed to run.
Right.
So when everything was clogged up, he would improvise. And so in a way, we were lucky to have him on the team in '86, and then in '90. But if you interviewed him, he would tell you, man, we had him and we jacked him up, man.
But the thing about him, though, the thing I like about Otis Anderson is that for some reason his body seemed to hold up longer than most NFL running backs. I don't know how true that is, because I'm not in the locker room, but it seemed as if he was an old man running the football at 32, 33 years old. Now, that's old man age at running back, especially nowadays.
He is, not to cut you off, but he's an old black Southern man who is built.
Right.
Old black Southern man who's built a certain way. And quite frankly, the way that some of us have been constructed, over the years, if it wasn't for a little arthritis in our knees or back or whatever, man, many of us could probably still play.
I really-
Because we were built a certain way. And if you look at many of those guys who went to HBCUs,
right.
they could play 16, 18 years if they wanted to. Jackie Slater,
Right.
offensive lineman with the Rams, Jackie played 20 years.
Right.
You look at Ed Too Tall Jones.
Yeah.
He played about 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
I played 13 years, but truth of the matter is I probably could have played another 5 if I wanted to, but I didn't want to play anymore. I just wanted to move on with my life. But
that's what I wanted to ask you about. It's one of those things, because we felt like a shock to us. Like, it's like, I mean, he can still do it at a high level. I mean, of course, we're like, okay, we know this kid Pepper Johnson is gonna be okay, but he ain't Harry. That's what we, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so we like, it must be something. It must be something else. Just like maybe just wanting to go on and do other stuff. Because and the reason why I saw it like that is because as a Bears fan, I saw Walter Payton get drafted in '76, I think, and
I think it was earlier. Maybe it's 75.
75, right. Yeah, 75. Okay, so 75, right? And I saw him come in and take a pounding for the Bears, and they were in the same situation: outdoor stadium, AstroTurf, weather conditions.
But it wasn't so much being at Soldier Field; it was Jackson State.
Right.
State University prepared him.
Right.
Just like Mississippi Valley State prepared Jerry Rice.
Right.
Guys of that era, guys who went through all of that stuff, we were built a different way. Like I said, we didn't have like the best equipment.
Right.
But we made do with what we had. And if you go back and you look, Jerry and Walter Payton were famous for working out during the off season and running hills and all of that stuff.
Right.
And when they took the field, man, they were ready. And quite frankly, on Wednesdays during the course of the season, Wednesday is like a Monday for an NFL player, because you play on Sunday, you might get a little stuff done on Monday, but Tuesday is your day off, and it's like Sunday, and then Monday is Wednesday is your Monday,
right?
And I get my scouting report and game plan and everything, and I'd open the book and I'd look and see who went to a black school.
Right.
And when I saw the different guys who went to a black school, I would highlight the fact that they went to a black school.
Right.
Because those guys at the HBCUs who went to those black schools, they're built a different way. Like when they had to go on a road trip, they didn't jump on a plane on Friday and fly across the country. They got on the bus on Thursday night.
Right.
No. They got on the bus on Thursday night and they went to wherever they had to play. And when the game was over on Saturday, they didn't go back to the hotel.
Right.
They got back on the bus and they went back to wherever they came from. And that builds certain things within, players. And I always knew that there's a certain kind of toughness that comes with guys who have played at HBCUs.
Right.
It's those guys who I know they prepare differently. But the other thing is, we all who went to those HBCUs had a mandate to represent where we came from.
Right.
And so you don't really see a whole bunch of guys who went to HBCUs acting crazy. They knew that if they went and acted a fool wherever they went, that they were going to hear it from wherever they came from.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, it's an altogether different experience. You know, it was fun. It kind of goes back to, you know, seeing who it is made of what, you know. And again, I just saw so many guys who went to those black schools who, you know, much like when I was in high school, there's so many guys who could have made it if they had stayed focused and, you know.
Right.
There would have been.
It kind of reminds us, and so I've never attended an HBCU, right? But I think it kind of reminds me of that thing with Mayo and Wilson, kind of in my mind. But like I'm a Golden Bear everywhere I go, just like Wilson Tigers remind me that they are Wilson Tigers everywhere they go, and we have a certain toughness to us. And when we go to like big cities, so sometimes that might rub people the wrong way. But we come from a place where we didn't have a whole bunch of resources. You know what I'm saying? Our weight room wasn't the biggest. The team had to take turns at the bench rack. We only had one bench. You know what I'm saying? So it's all these things that made us tough. And we were always underdogs everywhere we went also. People are like, oh, you went to that little teeny high school? You know what I'm saying? To me, being a Golden Bear, but as a Golden Bear, what that does is reinforce my Mayo pride. Yeah. That's why one of the reasons why I had that feeling when, you know, I got, hey, so I bought, I'll tell you this. So in high school, I was about 140. I was about 6'3", 148, right? And so I begged the doctor to write 165 on the paper. And he was like, man, you don't write 165. And I was like, because you know how you got, because when I was coming, you had to go get your physical, right? And so he was like, man, you ain't no 165. I'm like, please write 165. Please write 165 on the paper, right? So he looked at me. I ain't writing no 165, and he write 163 on the paper. And I snatch it out of his hand, and I run from there. I run all the way home with the paper in my hand, all the way to football practice, right? So I give it to Coach Green, throw it on the paper. Coach Green look at me. Free, you done bulked up from last year. Free. Hey, he's 6'4", 172. Because you know, in the things that come out in the thing, you know, and so I got this big neck roll like Gary Reason used to wear, just like this big old thing, man. And I put my jersey over it, and so when cats used to see me coming, they think like, dog, that dude must be 220. Knowing, man, I ain't nothing but 148 soaking wet in high top cleats. You know, but I said that to say this. When we got out there on the field, I was gonna fight like a big man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I was gonna give them everything I got, and I wasn't the best at it. You know, I'm not saying I don't have all kind of records or whatever. But the one thing they could say about Mayo High and the kids that came from Mayo was we had heart and we're tough. Yeah. And it's kind of like because we were representing for 100 years of Mayo Golden Bears before us. So everywhere we went, if we did anything wrong, it was a whole line of Mayo Golden Bears like, hey man, what you doing down here cutting up? Don't you know you represent for everybody? You know, it's like one of them type things. Yeah. So yeah. So let me. I want to ask you a couple more questions, but let me ask. Would you be okay with the people with my people in the chat asking you a couple questions?
No, not at all.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you this. So what does a Hall of Famer do in retirement?
You keep on living your life.
Right.
I'm very fortunate in that I can sort of pick and choose the things that and this is really my life in general is, I think that I'm pretty educated, pretty much educated. Um, I have the opportunity to travel in many circles.
Right.
I get the opportunity to do many things. And I sort of pick and choose, what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
Right. Right.
Um, One of the things that I do right now that people don't really know about is, unless you read my bio and in advance, but I've been involved with the Fritz Pollard Alliance for about 15 years now.
Okay.
And what the Fritz Pollard Alliance is an organization that is named after Fritz Pollard, who became, in essence, the first Black head coach in the National Football League back in 1920. He was an All-American quarterback, and he went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2005, I believe. But the purpose of the organization is to represent minority coaches and scouts and general managers, and advocate on behalf of individuals who are minority
Right.
for a greater sense of diversity within the
Okay.
National Football League. And
Okay.
so, whether it's racial diversity or gender diversity, that's one of the things I do, and I do it from the bottom of my heart, because I feel like there are a lot of individuals who know the game but are not given a shot to coach or be a GM within the game. So, that's one of the things that I do. I have my own little company here. I do a lot of appearances and promotional stuff. I'm a
Right.
spokesperson for a hospital system here in the New York, New Jersey area.
Okay.
I give a lot of my time away to charity.
Right.
But for the most part, what I do is I try to take care of myself.
Right.
I try and work out and eat right.
Right.
And hopefully I'll be around until, maybe 100.
Hey, we gonna say we gonna
Like that,
we gonna say 120, but who's counting, right?
but but I also I have two sons, and one of my sons is a doctor, and he's from Darlington.
Right.
And he, as he was growing up, I'll never forget, he dunked on me. And I didn't like that feeling of him dunking on me
Right.
when we were playing basketball.
Right.
And so I make certain that I stay ahead of my sons. Because then my other son is he's down in he served 5 years in the Marines, and he's down in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
But when he was 13, he challenged me to a race. I couldn't turn him down. And he thought he was going to beat me, and he almost did.
Right.
And I had to put him back in his place,
Right.
So I say all this to say that I made a deal with them that if they ever challenge me in any way, if I'm 98 and in a nursing home, if they challenge me, I'm going to come out of that nursing home,
Right.
and I'm going to take on that challenge, and I'm going to beat their little asses,
Right.
just because I can. Just the pride in me will come out. So
Right.
don't challenge me. But so I do work out. I do a lot of stretching, taking care of myself. I hope to live a very prosperous and healthy life.
Right.
But I always have to keep working out because my sons, man, they sense that weakness about me. They might come looking for me.
They might come and find you.
And like I said, and I mean this, when I'm 90 years old, man, I'm going to be in better shape than they are. My son, who's in the Marines, I took him to the gym, right?
Right.
And we're doing pull-ups,
Right.
and I'm doing like 25 pull-ups, and here I am like 65, and I'm doing pull-ups and all of that stuff, and he can't even do like 10, and I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Don't you ever challenge me because I'm going to embarrass you. But like I told him,
So let me ask you this: How do we support the Fritz Pollard Alliance? Like, what do we do to get involved to contribute?
Well, if you ever want to, if you go to the website fritzpollardalliance.org, if you want to make a donation to the organization, then that's fine. But the most important thing, I think, is to, if you know somebody who may not necessarily be a great player, but they've got a great mind for playing the game,
Right.
Encourage them to, follow that dream. And if you know football, try and be the best that you can in terms of learning the game, and hopefully you'll get a shot somewhere. And we'll be there advocating for you. We have a meeting every year with the commissioner, and we sit down, we go over, what coaches might be fired, what general managers might be fired, and we make recommendations as to who we think might be qualified to be presented to the owners and teams as to who's available and who warrants some kind of consideration. Obviously, everybody is sort of focused on Eric Bieniemy.
Right to the jet.
Yeah, I mean, he's ready. I mean, it's past due that he gets a shot. But Leslie Frazier is one of those guys who has had experience, playing and experience as a head coach.
Right.
And has done an absolutely great job with the Buffalo Bills as defensive coordinator. He needs to get another shot at being a head coach in the National Football League. So, the things that I do, there are things that come from my heart, and I try to be that voice for individuals who really don't have much of a voice. So,
right. And so the guys in the chat are asking me about how you feel about the current Giants, like how you feel about Joe Judge and today's Giants. Well,
I did have some issues with Joe Judge because, whenever I go over to deal with the Giants at the Quest Diagnostic Center where the Giants practice, I wear one of three hats. One, as a former player.
Right.
Two, as a broadcaster, because I also do work with the Giant broadcasting shows.
Okay.
But the other thing is I am chairman of the Fritz Pollard Alliance. So when I'm there, you don't necessarily know why I'm there and what hat I'm wearing.
Right.
But the problem that I had with the Giants is last year, owners have been staunchly saying individuals who are being considered for head coaching positions should work their way up to being a coordinator.
Right.
And then you turn around and you hire somebody who is not necessarily an offensive or defense coordinator, but he's a special teams coach, and you're going to give the keys to the new car
Right.
in New York with New York license plates or New Jersey license plate,
Right.
and you're going with a guy who has been an assistant coach but not a coordinator.
Right.
How
Right.
fair?
For that long, not even for that long.
Yeah.
So
I've been watching them over the course of this season with the pandemic and everything. I haven't been in the house as much as I normally am, but as a former player, I want Joe Judge to succeed. As chairman of the Fritz Pollard Alliance, I got some issues with him being selected over other individuals who perhaps were better prepared, or maybe were a coordinator and have done everything that they've been asked to do, and they still don't get a shot. And I'm talking about Eric Bieniemy.
right.
So I'm sort of mixed, but at the end of the day, as a former player, I want the team to do well.
Right.
And
Right.
I've been watching this team, and I've said to myself, there's no preseason.
Right.
You've had a turnover in personnel. It takes a while for a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett,
Right.
defensive coordinator, and guys who have not really played together. It takes a little while for all those things to come together. And so when I watched them play yesterday, I was pleased at what I saw because they weren't making the mistakes that they'd been making in the past. Daniel Jones was not necessarily turning the ball over. And I feel like, they still are work in progress, and hopefully, they can play together and not necessarily be in the bidding for that number 1 draft pick of Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Right.
He's going to the Jets.
Yeah, he's going to the Jets. It's a couple of Jets fans in here at the day.
Yeah, so I hope the Giants continue to make progress and eliminate mistakes, and if they do, I think they'll be okay. And I think that also the period that they just sort of went through, I think that's going to be a building block for the team moving forward, because they just made mistakes, and if you can eliminate mistakes and just play error-free football, you're going to be okay.
Hey, pardon me for just a second. I got a dog that's going crazy. I don't want him to get in the audio, so I'll be back in about 10 seconds.
Okay.
I'll be back in about 10 seconds. Pardon me. I'm sorry about. Must have been a squirrel or something in it. I don't know. I got this old spoiled house dog, man, and one little thing will set him off. And I know my guys in the chat like, man, you got a small house dog? Yeah, I got a small house dog, man, and the slightest little thing will get him to going. But I want to ask you. I want to ask you one other thing, one personal thing for me, and I've been trying to settle this for years. And I know it's going to seem petty, but I have somebody here that I can ask that was there firsthand. So, who has the greatest defense of all time? The '86 New York Giants or the '85 Chicago Bears?
Are you
My cousin, by the way, says it's the 2000 Ravens,
so
right? Because they had some guy named Ray Lewis or somebody, but
you're going to leave out? Are you going to leave out the New Orleans Saints?
Oh, the Ricky Jackson, Pat Swilling Saints?
Mhm.
No, I respect them a lot. I just think y'all secondary was better than theirs. And speaking of Leslie Frazier, he was a part of our secondary in '85.
I know.
Yeah.
I know that's where he gets his football knowledge from.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mike is a very good friend of mine, Mike Singletary.
Right.
Leslie, I root for Leslie and want the best for him. And again, as a chairman of the Fritz Pollard Alliance, I'm rooting for different guys for different reasons because these guys are ready. They're ready and they should get their opportunity.
Would it be okay if I tag that? Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know if it was okay is at the end of this video and maybe a couple of others if I left a link to support the Fritz Pollard, the Fritz Pollard Alliance and where people can go to support. Would it be okay if I did that or?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. I wanted to ask, but you had a point. I think you were going to tell me that the Chicago Bears had the best defense of all time.
I was. I have to be honest with you. Both teams had really good defenses, and Bears did their thing one year, and we did our thing another year.
Right.
God, I don't know what to say. I only know what I know, and that is the Giants whipped some ass, man, in '86, man.
I know this. I know. And far back as '85. I think the thing in '85 is if y'all were maybe a little bit more consistent on offense in '85, I think it might have been a 2-year run. But
yeah, but you know what? I'm going to humor you, and I'm going to say, the Bears they eked us out just like that,
Right.
You had Hampton, you had Dent, you had Otis Wilson,
yep.
You had Mike Single. I mean, you guys were loaded.
Right. Gary Fenwick was in the back knocking people's heads off.
Yeah, Dave Dorson.
Dave Dorson. Right.
Yeah, all of those guys could be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, those were really good.
But we were okay. But you know what? I'll give the nod to you guys. You
hear that, Giants fans?
Yeah. But you guys have what? One championship? One championship?
I knew that was coming. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got what? 4?
Yeah.
Four championships?
Four championships.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So and no disrespect to the Giants and the Giants fan base because I love the fact that they're so passionate. You know what I'm saying? Just the fact that you're on right now with me, just for them to be, you know what I'm saying, in kind of like the same area with you is making a lot of these dudes' day. Like I'm reading the chat right now. A lot of them want to jump on and ask you questions. Would you mind if I bring one person on and just have them ask you just a question? I'll make sure to be respectful or whatever.
No problem.
Is that okay?
They can be disrespectful. I don't care.
No, they better not be disrespectful. They better not be disrespectful to the guests. But I'm gonna put this thing out here. Let me see. Yeah, so I wanted to ask because it's a where is he? All right, so he all right. So guys, I put the link to the chat and the text box. And hey, would you be good for 10 more minutes? Maybe 5 or 10 more minutes?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'll send you
Okay.
a bill. I'll send you a bill like I'll send a bill to Gatorade. I like this.
And I laugh at that because Gatorade had no idea they would be doing this for like 30 or 40 years. I bet at the time when they saw it, they had no idea that they
You
would be
never
doing it.
know.
So
You never know what might happen in life. You never know what happens when you do little silly things. I am the only person who has ever drenched the president of the United States with popcorn out of a Gatorade bucket. How
get
many
out of
people?
here.
How many people can say that?
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I never saw footage of that. I never saw footage of that. I think I might have to for
Look it
sure.
up. Look
I'll
it up.
look that up.
Look it up on the internet. Just put in Ronald Reagan popcorn, Gatorade, or whatever. This is after we won the Super Bowl in '86, and
Right.
we went to the White House, and Secret Service agents sought me out, and they said, "Mr. Carson, the president would like to have a few words with you at the end of this event." It's okay.
Right.
So they kind of positioned me. This was on a Friday afternoon. They positioned me right outside of a stairway, and my teammates were like on the other side of this courtyard.
Right.
So my back was to the president when he was walking down, and Mrs. Reagan he was sort of hiding the bucket behind Mrs. Reagan. And so I turned, and just as I turned, I saw this popcorn coming down on me. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Right.
And it's the president, right? And he pulled the bucket down, and he's laughing. And I looked down in the bucket, and it was still half full. And I said, maybe I should get you back.
Right.
He didn't say anything. And I thought to myself, Secret Service agents with big guns under their jackets. Should I?
Right.
Should I not? And I just returned the favor, and I drenched him with a bucket of popcorn out of a Gatorade bucket. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Well,
I could have had about 50 or 60 shots, taken at me close range.
Right.
The president of the United States.
Right. But you know what though, and I'll say this, and it's just something from a kid, but when kids though, when we're up in the stands looking at like Harry Carson tackle Walter Payton, right? I'm like, man, this right here gets no better. You really like to a kid, you're right, like this moment here can't get any better. It's like one dude in the top of his game versus another dude in the top of his game going at it, right? And then when you talk about Secret Service pulling out guns and shooting, we like, man, those bullets will bounce off you. I saw you tackle Walter Payton. Bullets would be nothing.
Not quite.
I know it. But listen, I'm gonna wrap up here, man. Thank you a ton for coming on. They scared. They not asking. They're not asking questions.
All right.
So I think what it is I might have asked the questions, but I had a list of questions here. But during the course of the conversation, I guess because it was so organic, you answered a lot of these questions for me, man. And I really appreciate the time that you gave. Maybe down the road sometime, if you have some free time, maybe we can get together again. I would love to have you come on again.
I tell you what, the next time I come to Florence, you owe me a buffet dinner at Thunderbird.
Okay. Done.
Some fried chicken and peach cobbler. At Thunderbird.
Hey, do you still play? You play golf?
I still swing the clubs.
Yeah. Okay.
My golf game sucks.
Well, hey, mine too. But next time you come, the next time you come to Florence, that's a done deal.
Yeah. All right, sir.
I really appreciate the fact that you came on. Again, everybody is New York Giant great linebacker, Hall of Famer, Harry Carson. And the most impressive thing is all around good dude, great man. Your reputation is one that kind of led me to the point of asking for you to come on, because people, you know how it is with your reputation. You don't get to, make your reputation. Your reputation is what other people say about you. And so with other people talking about you like that, saying these great things, man, I felt like it would be negligent of me not even to ask you to come on and share with us. And in the chat, people are saying, we love you, Harry, in the chat. So
I love you back. I love you back.
All right. Hey, thanks again, Mr. Harry, for the interview. We'll put this up on YouTube and some other places for everybody to see it. And then, if and also put a link for the organization that you represent. And so if people feel so inclined, they can come in and help support your cause.
All right.
All right. Hey, thank you. Thanks again very much for your time.
Okay.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
This is huge.